If Corporate Birbal were a real person in today's business world, how do you think he would face the challenges of this automotive industry? The name Corporate Birbal, is this a fiction story or this is a real life story of yours?
No, it is not my story at all. This is a completely fictional story.
What motivated you to move from Bangalore to Singapore, and how this cultural transition impacted your career?
Oh, very excellent question. I can say honesty, timeliness, etc. That I think that everybody will say. But one important aspect that really helped me to unlock a lot of things that I wanted to do was I scored very poor marks in my 10th class exam in both Marathi and English. Both.
I am Komal Singh and I am co-host on Ronak Rangwal's podcast. I welcome all my lovely viewers. Today, we have a very prominent guest on our podcast, Mr. Vivek, who is a celebrated author of of the book, The Corporate Birbal, and associate partner at Frost and Sullivan. So, Vivek sir, I would like to start the conversation with a famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi. Shall I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, sir. So the quote is this like, be the change you want to see in the world. जो बदलाव आप दुनिया में देखना चाहते हो उसकी शुरुआत खुद से होनी चाहिए. And you are the real example of this, sir. I mean, you are associate partner as well as an author. So tell our viewers about your incredible journey so that get more inspiration and they will move in their future.
I think for me, both my job as well as this book are quite intertwined.
Yes, sir.
I can't really separate them from each other because I got the entire idea or inspiration about writing the story Corporate Birbal from my job. So
Yes,
I
sir.
work in Frost and Sullivan. I manage Asia Pacific. I have a large team to manage and very complex, tricky situation that I have to navigate my team through. So while discussing these challenges, discussing these problems, I would often explain to them what they should be doing by using one of the Birbal stories. I would
Yes, sir.
just to make sure that I'm making my point clear without offending anyone, I would tell this story. And it used to be maybe sometimes a very informal discussion, sometimes over lunch, sometimes over dinner. But what happened was after a few years, when even after these colleagues of mine moved on, they actually called me back and told me that they remembered these stories. And these stories and the conclusions that they drew out of it actually guided them in the career wherever they went. And that's when I thought that maybe it's a good idea to convert all these stories into some kind of a learning, some kind of I would say fictional book, but that gives some message to all those who are looking at it. And that's how I got this idea. And that's why I said both things are intertwined. Because I was working there, because I was managing these situations, I could look at the book and I could come up with the story.
Okay, sir. So, sir, there is a little query about from my side. The name Corporate Birbal, is this a fiction story or this is a real life story of yours?
No, it is not my story at all. This is a completely fictional story.
Okay, sir.
When I thought of writing a novel, I wanted to be the storyteller. And if I have to be the storyteller, then I can't just keep telling my story because how many times can you tell your story? So
Yes,
I
sir.
wanted to come up with a story that it's its own completely fictional story because then I can tell more stories. If I just tell my story, then I can tell only one story.
Yes, sir.
So it is a completely fictional story. And when I wrote about it, I wanted to have a completely its own set of characters, in own set of situations. This story happens in Bangalore. Then the protagonist also travels to Leh Ladakh,
Yes, sir.
but largely happens around Bangalore. And all the characters in this are completely fictional. You might find that these characters are something that you may be able to relate to, but they are not really any real people around me. Completely fictional story. But to my surprise, when I took this story to my publisher, they thought that there is also a self-help element involved in this. So now the book is positioned as a fictional self-help story.
Okay, sir. So, sir, there are lots of questions from our viewers, and I would like to ask them on my behalf, on their behalf. So, sir, there is a
Sure.
question from Mr. Rohan. He wants to know if corporate Birbal were a real person in today's business world, how do you think he would face the challenges of this automotive industry?
Okay, so again, this is a fictional story, nothing to do with automotive industry, but to do with the corporates of this world. But the Birbal actually is a real character in into this story, and
Yes, sir.
it comes as the Birbal that we know, the Birbal that existed in the storybooks that we read when we were kids. So where Birbal makes a difference is Birbal brings wisdom to the table. I think what the basic thesis I have or basic hypothesis I have for this book is you can teach everyone how to analyze the data. You can teach everyone how to make a presentation, how to tell a story. What you can't teach is wisdom, and this
Yes, sir.
wisdom is, according to me, above everything else. And wisdom is taking a look at, even if it is like a trend that is very fast and emerging, taking a look at it and really creating your own view whether this trend is going to last or not. Now, all of these things contribute to wisdom. So if corporate Birbal was a real person in today's world, he would really think hard whether uh, electric vehicles will wipe out the engine vehicles, battery electric vehicles will completely wipe out our conventional cars or not.
Yes, sir.
Whether all the changes that we think are really going to completely change, whether AI will completely wipe out creativity in human being or not. All of these things, Birbal will take a very clear and hard look at.
Yes, sir. That's a very good for our viewers. So, sir, there is another query from Ms. Supriya. What motivated you to move from Bangalore to Singapore, and how this cultural transition impacted your career?
Oh, very excellent question. So basically, uh, I had always worked in sales and marketing, and when I was working, I didn't really imagine that I will get to work with in foreign country. It was, the formula was very simple. If you want to travel abroad, you need to be in IT. Only
Yes,
IT
sir.
guys could go outside the country, and all others could not go. That was the situation when I was working, and the a good opportunity came my way, where I could use my experience, exactly same kind of job that I was doing in Bangalore. It was available to me in Singapore, and that's what took me to Singapore. Moving to Singapore has had a profound impact on my personality, on how I look at the world, my confidence level. It has also brought down my overconfidence level. So it has got a huge impact. And in fact, my first book that I wrote, which is also available on Amazon, which is Why Do Indians? It is about cultural conflict that Indians living abroad constantly face with other cultures. And there are some typical things that we do, like a lot of us are vegetarians. Most of us don't eat beef. We are very fascinated about movies and cricket. Now, all of these things are quite different from other cultures and other nationalities. And I wrote some short stories around that, and that was my first book. So moving to Singapore has completely changed me. It has ensured that I have a very wider view of the world, and I'm able to place myself in the global scenario and not just look at it from Indian scenario.
Okay, sir. Sir, when I searched about your profile on internet, I got a section that you got awarded for your first collection of books. So, sir, what was that about? Could you tell us about this?
Oh, yes. So I also wear a hat of writing Marathi short stories. So I
Yes,
wrote
sir.
a Marathi short story book, and basically during COVID, when suddenly my travel stopped, suddenly my going to office stopped, and I had to be at home. I got a lot of time on my hand, which I could use the way I want. Earlier, my travel involved a lot of travel, and so all that time when I saved, I wanted to do something. So I started thinking about what is it that I can do. And some of my friends in creative world told me that maybe you can write stories about how COVID has impacted people deeply, how their
Yes.
lives have changed, how their relationships have changed, etc. So I thought that's a very good idea, and I started writing some stories, and I could write about 4 or 5 stories, which where COVID has some impact on the characters in my story. So it's not about people falling ill, but it is more of people who just are have changed in the relationship because of lockdown, because of working from home, because of something that COVID did to our lives. So that was the whole idea that I had. So I wrote these stories. I took it to the publisher. Publisher said, nobody wants to read COVID stories. You need to write a few other stories. So I wrote a few other stories. So that was published as a Marathi short story collection or anthology collection called Agantuk. I'm very proud to say that all the leading Marathi authors have praised my book. They have said that all the topics and the subjects that I've handled in my stories are very fresh, and they are the stories of future. That is what all of them have said, and I'm lucky to get an award for this particular book as well. So it is given by Pune Nagar Vachan Mandir. That's the oldest library in Pune. It's a very prestigious award called Banatti Award. It is almost, I think, 50 or more books are considered for this kind of an award, and it is awarded every year. And I'm happy that I was able to get it. Agantuk was my first short story collection, and that got award, and that's a very heartening development for me.
Okay. So, sir, this book is available on internet.
Yes, so all books are available on Amazon,
Okay.
and if you struggle to find, you can go to my author page, Vivek Vaidya, and there you can see the links to all 3 books. The Why Two Indians is available in Kindle form. I think the printed form is quite expensive, but Agantuk as well as Corporate Birbal are available in paperback as well as Kindle form.
Okay, okay. So, viewers, if you are willing to read it, just visit that page and grab that book for your knowledge. So, sir, there is another question from Mr. Krish. He wants to know, you have been on global media platforms like BBC, Bloomberg. So, what's one question you wish someone would ask during your interviews but never happened?
You mean any prediction that I made and that never
Yes,
happened?
sir. Yes,
Or,
sir.
oh yeah. What happens is, uh, earlier when I was very new, I used to ask them the what question you are going to ask, and I would prepare my answer, and I will actually make sure that I'm thoroughly prepared and rehearse my answers, etc. But that lasted just 1 or 2 interviews. After that, I realized that they call me because they consider me as expert, and they call me when in one of the interviews it so happened that I went prepared with one topic, but by the time that I arrived there, some other topic or some other there was a breaking news, and they wanted to talk about that, and it had nothing to do with what I had prepared, and they started asking me about something that was completely new to me, but I still did well in that interview, and that's when I realized that they call me because they consider me as an expert, and therefore it is more of a chit chat. So it is more of a discussion. So it's although it's televised and it's live. Most of the interviews that I've done are live. That means after I speak, a few seconds later, it is telecast all over
Another
the world.
question.
So if I blank out or if I say something wrong, then it is going to be live. There is nothing that is going to stop that. So that's a bit risky, and that's a bit earlier I used to get a lot of tense because of this situation. But later I realized that uh, they want to know my opinion, and as long as I'm able to explain my opinion without revealing any of the secrets that my company has, or offending any confidentiality of my clients, and without showing anybody down, I think all that is fine. So I over a period of time I fine tune my way of speaking to make sure that I don't reveal all of these things, but still manage to give my opinion.
Yes. Okay, that's fine,
So there
sir.
is one interesting story. There is one interesting story
Yes,
about
sir.
my TV interviews. Um, So the Nissan managing director Carlos Ghosn was he kind of escaped from Japan because he was under house arrest in Japan
Okay.
for some tax related issues, and he just one fine day escaped from there. He just vanished from there,
Hmm.
and most of the TV channels really wanted to talk about it, and they wanted to know how it happened, what it happened. But that's not something which I do, and I had nothing
Hmm.
to do with it. Nor did I have any opinion, nothing. But still, they would chase me because I was considered to be an auto analyst. And during that time, I would have rejected almost 15 to 20 interviews. They would call me. I would say, "Are you going to discuss Nissan?" They would say yes. Then no. So I think almost 20 different interviews I rejected. I did not go. I said I'm available, but if you are going to discuss this, I'm not coming on there. So yeah. So you have to be very clear on what you want to do, what you want to say, what you don't want to say. Uh, your company, your clients should not get into trouble, or you should not inadvertently say something that will make you repent of. So all of these are very important things when you go on global media like this.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. So there is another question from Miss Rohini. She wants to know what are some values or principles that guided you at personal level and professional level.
Values of
What values that
value
guided you? Yes, sir, at professionally and personally.
deep. So I would say one value that I embraced in last 10-15 years is I kept away the fear for failure. So I think that has really changed everything for me. I can say honesty, timeliness, etc. That I think that everybody will say. But one important aspect that really helped me to unlock a lot of things that I wanted to do was uh, completely shelve fear of failure. So if there is no fear of failure, young people like you and young at heart people like me can do a lot of things. So if you see my profile, I have written an English book, a Marathi book. I have done a lot of trekking. I have written some plays. I have done some stand-up comedy myself. I've done some singing myself. So all of these areas I could explore only because I never thought about what will happen if I fail. I said, okay, if I fail, then I will take that as a learning. But I just rejected that uh, feeling of failure or of fear of failure. I just rejected that. And that has been a value that I think I'm following for last 10, 12 years. And that has completely changed my life.
Yes, sir. Moving forward is more necessary than thinking about the results or consequences.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So, sir,
So just to share with you,
hmm,
um, I scored very poor marks in my 10th class exam in both Marathi and English, both.
okay.
So I was considered to be a mathematics and science student and no language. So language was my poorest area. But here I am who have published a book in Marathi and a
Yes,
book in
sir.
English.
Yes, sir. This is the greatest achievement for you.
So I dedicated my Marathi book to my Marathi teacher.
Hmm. Okay, sir. So, sir, I would like to know, sir, what is the difference
Uh,
between a author and a writer, in your point of view?
Author is also a thinker, according to me. I don't know the dictionary meaning, but the way I would like to position myself, I didn't write writer of Corporate Birbal. I
Okay.
said author of Corporate Birbal.
Yes,
So
sir.
I would say author comes with a certain mindset and certain new ideas and a certain thought process. More than anything else, according to me, author is somebody who has thought a lot about a topic and then he's communicating that through a written medium. Whereas a writer, I feel that it's a bit shallow. It's something that a blogger will be a writer, but author will be someone who writes a novel or someone who writes a self-help book. That's how I will interpret it. I don't know whether dictionary meaning is the same or not, but that's how I want to position myself as a author who has thought through and thought a lot about um, certain ideas, certain concepts, and then it is being communicated through written medium.
Yes, sir. You explained it very well. And I would like to know, tell you, sir, that I'm also a writer, a content writer.
Nice,
Yes, sir.
very good.
So, sir, what is your advice for me or like other youngsters like our industry who are willing to move forward? So, what is your advice for them?
So for those who are looking to be in the literary field, right?
Yes, sir.
The advice is see, it is not an easy field. Firstly, it is getting more and more crowded. We all think that okay, one day we will become J.K. Rowling, and that's why I want to get into it. Or one day I'll just be able to write, and just by writing book, I'll be able to live a very happy, cushy life. So I think those days are really gone, or those days uh, are available for 0.01% authors. Most of the authors, even I don't consider myself as a established author, but I think that um, I would say first 5 books, first 7 books, you will not earn anything. Sometimes you'll have to put money from your pocket.
Yes.
Only after that, if you're able to sustain your quality of writing, your quality of thought, you're able to ensure that you have a good followership of your audience, then probably you can hope to make some money from your books. So I think my advice to you guys will be do it as a hobby rather than being professional.
Okay.
It's something that is very hard. It's not something that is going to be financially rewarding in an immediate way, and therefore it's a long haul. It will take a long time, and
Yes, sir.
if you are doing it as a profession where you are your roti roti depends on this, then you are likely to be in trouble because then you will start thinking, what is it that I should write so that the book will sell? What is it that I should do so that my blog will be read? And that's a disaster. According to me, the author should come up with their own story. They should tell the story in as honestly as possible and hope that it is liked by the audience. So when I wrote Corporate Birbal, there are no corporate fiction that is available right now.
Yes,
Most of
sir.
the fiction that we see is mythological fiction.
Hmm.
So, my friends told me, my some of the publishers, when I approached, they told me, "Oh, why are you writing this? Who wants to read this? Nobody wants to." But I said, "This is my story, and I don't care whether somebody wants to read it or not. This is my story, and I want to tell it to the world." So, my advice to people who want to enter this profession is tell your story honestly. Don't worry about whether people will like it or not. If you tell it honestly and if it gives some value to the audience, then they will like it. It's not don't just follow the trend blindly. If you're going to write something that really touches your heart, only if it touches your heart it will touch your reader's heart.
Exactly, sir. So basically, honesty is the key fact for writing, for coming in this section. So, sir, as we are moving towards the end of this podcast, there is a rapid fire section for you. So,
Okay,
are you ready for this?
sure.
So,
Bring
sir,
it on.
yes, sir. So, for your first question is, who is your favorite book or author?
It's a Marathi author called Pula Deshpande, P.L. Deshpande.
Okay. A memorable trekking experience.
Climbing Kilimanjaro, I broke into tears and I sobbed for almost 15 minutes. Unbelievable.
Okay. Okay. One innovation you foresee transforming the automotive sector.
Carbon. Anything that is related to carbon and making the vehicles sustainable, that is what is going to transform automotive industry.
Okay, sir. A skill you still want to master?
Acting.
Acting. That's nice, sir. And last question is, what is your favorite interest, singing or stand-up comedy?
When I'm in bathroom singing, when I'm outside stand-up comedy.
Okay, that's an honest answer, sir. Okay, so sir, we would like to end this podcast. So, sir, thank you very much for having on for taking your precious time for this podcast. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Komal. Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you. I think you really brought out some of very interesting questions, and I thanks to your viewers for sending the questions in advance. I really loved them.
Thank you, sir, and have a nice day,
Thank you very much.
sir.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye, bye, sir.